Charlie Kirk crushes Abrego Garcia illegal deportation
Kirk,
lie.
it's really you, man. I've been following you since George Floyd, that whole thing went down. I want to preface my question by saying I voted for Donald Trump, but when students say that Donald Trump wants to rule like a fascist and then deports people like Abrego Garcia without due process, I wanted to ask you, how can you call yourself an American patriot when the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that the deportation was unlawful and that they are ordered to facilitate his return and haven't?
How can I call myself an American patriot? Because a MS-13 gang member, wife-beating, child-abusing foreign citizen was sent back to his country of origin? Pretty easily. That's what American patriots do. Second.
Okay, so the claim was, all right, America, Trump illegally, and reinforced illegally by the Supreme Court, took this person with an illegal law and sent them to a torture camp in El Salvador, when if they wanted to deport him, it would have been pretty easy, honestly. But they decided to violate constitutional rights to illegally send this person to a torture camp. And their justification for not following the Constitution is, what Kirk just said, the rehearsed propagandist lines, the partisan hack lines, illegal wife beater, MS-13 gang. Hey, by the way, due process is a limit on government power. We do not want someone to be put to death for hearsay or an accusation, or off Charlie Kirk calling them a terrorist with no evidence, and no day in court. Our country is founded on habeas corpus. It's founded on, and by the way, Trump wants to suspend it for every person in America. But yeah, and Charlie Kirk's going to be emotional, like usual. Emotional, angry, emotional, yell, pound the table, because you don't have any facts.
Secondly, the Supreme Court did not say that. They said 9-0 that there was an administrative error, that he could have been sent to any country except El Salvador. The fact was not that it was wrong that he was deported. It was just the fact that he was deported to the one country he could not be deported to. Finally, I don't understand the...
It was on multiple bases. So, like, number one, under no circumstance were he to be sent to El Salvador. Okay, under no circumstance could he be sent there. And number two, he could not be sent to, let alone just deported there, but also sent to a torture camp in El Salvador, in a forced labor prison camp in El Salvador, right? So on two levels, it was very illegal. Acting like, oh, it's just an administrative error. That's a funny way to say that the ICE agents grabbed up a guy, did not check anything at all, and shipped him off to a torture dungeon, just like the gay barber, just like the tattoo artists, or is it the gay? I don't even know. There's a tattoo artist, there's the gay guy, there's the soccer player, there's a bunch of them that were here under legal asylum cases that were sent to this El Salvador super torture camp as well. Charlie Kirk knows he's lying here, by the way.
Emphasis in the concern and the hyper-pathological fixation on why a foreign citizen who is a gang member gets all of the attention of the American left, while you, the American people, have been ignored by them over...
It's not the person, it's the law. It's the Constitution. It's the person's rights. It's a fear that the government can make accusations and enact state power upon a human being in America without a day in court. Okay, that's the whole point here, is due process.
Over the last 30 years. It's creepy and it's bizarre.
There are a lot of criticisms to be made that we have been ignored, but at the end of the day, number one, the 14th Amendment grants due process.
Wrong.
Yes, it does.
Not under the Alien Enemies Act. That's incorrect. Alien Enemies Act does not give you the same due process rights, number one.
He can, okay.
Number two, it was still...
And again, the Supreme Court ruled Alien Enemies Act, deportations with no due process, to be unconstitutional multiple times. But the Trump admin says they could have loopholes where they say, hey, I'm right, and this is why I'm right. Therefore, it's legal. You can't just proclaim things to be legal, okay? It's not a dictatorship yet.
It was still underway while that happened. Number two, the Supreme Court ruled in 2019 under the Expedited Removal Act that you do not get full due process rights if you're within 100 miles of the border or 14 days of entry. And then number three, do you think
that point right there is not related to this conversation at all?
that we should have 21 million trials for all the illegals that the Democrats let in?
All right, so the trials for Alien Enemies Act, which is justified by an invading force by a foreign power trying to overtake parts of America intentionally in a concentrated fashion. Like, it's an actual invasion. It's a wartime measure. Okay, so like other times you can enact it as an actual world war, really bad world wars, civil wars, suspending habeas corpus. Those are different times, very different times. Now, in this conversation about immigrants in general versus Alien Enemies Act, if you're going to say This person's a gang member because they have a tattoo that has a bunny rabbit on it, and he's part of the bunny hoppers, which are they're bunny hoppers, and that means they hop the border with drugs because they hop a lot because they like bunnies. If we're gonna say off this person's one tattoo, we know he's a terrorist, and therefore we're gonna send him to a torture camp in El Salvador. Which, why do we have a torture camp that we finance in El Salvador that we pay for? Weird. But yeah, for those things, you get an actual like high level of due process. For a typical deportation, that standard in immigration courts is very low. Okay, that's a much different standard because you're not deciding if someone's gonna be sent to a torture camp, right? So it's going to be different. Immigration courts are much easier, much lower standard of due process. It's a completely different kind of court. 21 million illegals. God, dude. Oh, there's a lot of guns in America. Should we just suspend the Second Amendment? There's so many guns. How are we going to make sure we know where all the guns are? We should just avoid the Constitution. Let's rip apart. Let's tear apart the Constitution because it might be too hard. And by the way, it's not too hard. The numbers they say they lie about it. That's why they're sending 50,000 ICE agents to take down one college girl social worker because she said something. She said like pro-Palestine 15 years ago. So now the entire federal government needs to send their secret agents to detain her. There's a reason DHS and ICE needs to find all these dumb little side missions to go on because they lied about the numbers of immigrants, and also especially they lied about the numbers of the numbers for the crime rate for immigrants. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. Also consider supporting my channel in the description down below. Thank you.
To take each point, number one, the Alien Enemies Act can only be invoked if there's, I believe, reason to suspect war or if
True.
there's...
Yes, we've been invaded the last 4 years. So yes.
Oh yeah, dude. Emotion. So Charlie Kirk believes that my emotions are fact. All right? I feel a certain way. I'm emotional. Therefore, my emotions are fact.
You can't just say that.
Yes, you can.
A court has...
Trende Aragua and MS-13 invaded this country the last 4 years. We have material proof to show that. What's your next point?
Okay.
No, actually, the intel reports had no proof to show that at all. They had to fire the people that gave the intel reports because they're fascists. Charlie Kirk just says shit, dude. He just says shit. This guy, by the way, he's killing it. This guy's killing it, okay? I will accept him as an actual conservative. But this guy's a cryptic fascist, theocratic nationalist.
That has to be proven in a court of law. But my next point is...
No, it does not. You could do it and then you prove it. The point is the president has full authority to invoke...
Oh, the government can do it and then prove it. Yes, the government should be able to take a human being and do whatever they want and then prove it. Yeah.
And then you can prove
yes,
it?
Good
that's
standard.
Correct. The commander, for example, the commander...
Just wait until they accuse you, okay? They accuse you, an American citizen, of being an illegal alien terrorist. And they can just do something to you, right? Under that standard, they don't got to verify if you're a citizen. They don't got to verify if you did a crime. The feds can just say, "Hey, that guy, we don't like him. He looks like a terrorist. He has a funny hat, funny hair. He has a tattoo. It says mom on it. You know, some gang members have a mom tattoo. Therefore, we can do whatever we want." Imagine being so authoritarian and so anti-freedom that you say the government can do something to you and prove it later.
Commander-in-Chief has unilateral war powers acts within 90 days to be able to defend the country of the Asian invasion or incursion or war. For example, the president doesn't have to go in front of a judge if all of a sudden he wants to defend ourselves against Saddam Hussein or whomever, North Korea attacking the country. The president is the commander-in-chief who can act unilaterally under Article 2 to defend our country against invasion. You don't have to go to a court first to get permission to act as commander-in-chief. That's insane.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's true, but I'll take that for the case.
Of course it's true,
For the case of argument. The Supreme Court still ruled that they have to facilitate his return. They have not. Why haven't they?
They asked. It's El Salvador. They said no.
Is the is the insurgent military force? Are they all the college students that write op-eds about Israel? Is that the invasion, the insurgent invasion? How many of these gang members can they find? Why are they getting people wrong so often? The DOJ actually said they found one of the leaders of a gang a few weeks ago, and they dropped the case completely. Whenever MAGA goes to court, they fall apart because they don't have any facts. That's why MAGA avoids courts at all costs. They need to run away from courts.
The Supreme Court says they have to facilitate.
They don't control El
facts
Salvador. I'm sorry, they don't
zone.
control El Salvador.
So we can send people to El Salvador, but we can't bring them back?
Yes, we don't control El Salvador.
But
it's not our country.
So we can
take an American citizen there, and it's their country, so we can't tell them what to do anymore. Yeah, sure. But we can pay them millions of dollars, millions of taxpayer dollars, to hold people, but we cannot control them. Although it's a contractual relationship that we pay them.
You
Interesting.
send people there
You mean, wait, hold on. You mean we sent an El Salvadorian back to El Salvador?
against
And again, that's not what we did. They took a person. They said this is a terrorist, and we're going to send them to the super camp because they sent many people that were not from El Salvador to this camp.
the law?
Wrong.
There
It was
a-
an administrative error. It was not.
Wrong. Yes. Oh, dude, Charlie Kirk is so well rehearsed. I want to know who taught him. What a good boy. Oh, good boy. Give him a little pet. You know all the talking points. The oil barons that fund him. Good job. Good job, guys. You taught him well.
Not against
There was
the
a
law.
2019.
It's not against the
there
law.
was a 2019 court ruling under David M. Jones that he
Yes.
has a withholding of.
They could go to any country except El Salvador. We acknowledge it was the one country he should not have been sent to. It was not an illegal deportation. The judge
Yeah,
said
it was illegal as well. It was illegal. It was illegal as well. Because, by the way, if there was an actual deportation done, then this mistake, quote unquote, never would have been made, and they would not have sent him there in full handcuffs and like with his head shaven and his head pushed down so they could herd him around like a cattle onto a military jet. Like that, that's not how a normal deportation is carried out. It was under the Alien Enemies Act, the wartime power. Charlie Kirk is conflating these things in such a dishonest way.
this is your final warning, Mr. Garcia. You could be scooped up at any time and sent to any country except El Salvador. So, ironically, if we
Oh yeah, and Garcia was here on a work permit that he redid every year. He renewed the work permit every year, met with DHS every time. He followed all the right steps after his court appearance. That's why he was still in America. Under the Trump administration, he stayed under a work permit. He was still under a work permit that renewed every year. So he was here legally now. He was here legally now. He was allowed to be here now under the work permit.
would have sent him to the Congo, Gitmo, North Korea, it would have been perfectly fine,
Gitmo?
which would have actually been foreign prisons. We actually did him the accommodation of him.
That's not right at all, bro. They don't just say find a third country. They say find a somewhat suitable third country, not North Korea. There's no case. You cannot find a case in American history where we sent a immigrant to a third country and that third country was North Korea, bro. Like what? Charlie Kirk can just say things emotional. I wish he was a woman because he would be such a oh no, like he'd have all the stereotypical feminine like wah traits. Holy crap. Women are strong. Charlie Kirk is not. Someone said Abrego Garcia had a work permit. That's a lie. Hey, idiot. He was part of a union. He was a sheet metal apprentice. He was on a work permit, you disgusting scum. Google something, you idiot. If you could type in chat, you can Google. Every single one of us is media. For us to overcome what's happening right now, we all need to push in the right direction. Whether you make your own content, if you share my content or another creator you like, thank you so much for supporting this. We all need to do our job, and I really appreciate what you have to give, whether it's financial or not. If you cannot afford to donate, do not donate. Share the video around, drop a like, comment, subscribe. You are helping more than you could ever imagine.